A few weeks ago, I started investigating the virginity trade in this country. What I found shocked me, disgusted me.
A new film is turning the spotlight on what the United Nations is calling one of the fastest growing crimes in the world, human trafficking.
350 depicts the ordeal of a young Cambodian girl taken from her family and sold into prostitution. And although fictional, the story is shared by some 27 million real victims across the world.
For a glimpse into their plight, we're now joined by Sarah Nadelman, Director of Transitions, a support group for trafficking victims. And also with us, actress Eunice Olsen, star of 350, which is set to premiere in Singapore next week. Good morning, ladies.
Morning, ladies.
Morning. Now, Sarah, if we can start with you, tell us a bit more about the work Transitions does.
Absolutely. We are an aftercare shelter in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, that provides holistic care regarding trauma, education, and a variety of services to survivors of sex trafficking that are ages 13 to 18.
Give us a sense or more of an idea of how widespread and common trafficking is in Cambodia and indeed Asia.
Absolutely. Southeast Asia and Cambodia are definitely hotbeds for sex trafficking. It's a prevalent problem that's constantly changing and evolving. There's several countries here that are particularly having problems, such as China, Burma, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and Singapore also has its share of problems in this area.
Right. So it is a big issue in that sense. It's not something. It's just, I guess, sometimes we don't hear too much about it. Eunice, we earlier mentioned the film 350. Tell us, how did you come up or decide to work on this film? What were some of the reasons behind that?
Oh, well, many years ago I was ambassador with World Vision, and I went to one of the shelters, and I actually met my first trafficking victim. And also at the shelter there were many young girls there, and I thought that these were the children of the girls who were rescued, but it turns out that those were the girls who were rescued as well, and they were as young as maybe 5 or 6 years old. And I think right from the onset the issue was really repulsive to me, and I thought, there's definitely something more that we can do about it. So it just was an idea to do a film on human trafficking, and we finally realized it after so many years.
Right.
Yeah.
And the film is named 350. Tell us why.
Well, in Cambodia, there are many different tiers of how much you can buy sex for. For example, when a virgin is sold, it could be anything from $500 to $1,000, and then her value drops to a tenth after that. But in Cambodia as well, you can buy sex for as low as $3 to $4.
Wow.
So yeah, it caters to different levels, basically.
For a lot of these girls who are trafficked, what are the reasons that people end up in this situation? Can you tell us? Is it largely to do with the fact that they are poor and they think that this is an opportunity to escape the poverty cycle?
Absolutely. There's a variety of reasons, but poverty is one of the largest. Mainly there's debt, families with debt feeling that, it would be best if their younger children get to go and work and help the family out. And a lot of times they're tricked into these situations. There's the idea that people are sold in or their families sell them, and in fact, a lot of cases, the girls are offered legitimate jobs in big cities, and the families think that this would be great for them. But there's a variety of reasons that people end up in this situation.
Well, in the film itself, do you focus on the entire journey? Maybe share with us some of the aspects of the film. What are you hoping to share with people?
Well, the film depicts the different players in the industry, so it's based very much on research. And we spoke to NGOs across the industry, like Transitions to the self-sheltering, some who are in rescue work as well. And it depicts all the different players in the industry, like the mama-san, the journey of the doctor who sews up virgins, and the tuk-tuk driver, and of course I play a documentary filmmaker who wants to kind of do good work in Cambodia. So I think one big message we're taking away is that this is a very prevalent problem. The characters reveal information about the industry, like an average age of a girl that is tricked is 15. Most of the time the pimp is a family friend. Most of them are women. And I think one big message also that my character plays is that when we want to do humanitarian work in other countries, I think one thing is not so much what we are trying to do, but what they need and how we can help them best help themselves.
Have you found that perhaps the situation persists or continues because it's almost, well, to a certain extent, accepted. I don't want to use the word accepted, but it's so prevalent. It's become so commonplace that sometimes people maybe they don't know the way out, or they don't know how to get out of it. I mean, maybe Sarah, you can share some of your insights with that.
In terms of, the girls who are involved in it.
Well, I'm just thinking because it comes from a family friend, someone you know. I mean, the fact that they are willing to do it to someone they know that they might even care about seems...
Right. No, and that's one of the things is a lot of the girls who come in, there's a lot of shame. You know, they think they're going into something, or that they're doing this with somebody they trust. So to tell somebody that this is happening to them, there's a lot of fear there. And also the government, the police are not always supportive of the victims. It's really sort of the vulnerable women and girls are not taken care of in a way that allows them to speak out and talk about what really happened to them.
Well, Eunice, can you tell us, I mean, we know this is a fictional movie, but can you tell us what do some of these girls actually go through, their experiences?
Well, I must say that talking to Transitions has really helped me learn a lot more about this industry. And I think the thing that shocked me a lot was the fact that when they get tricked into the city, the first thing is, of course, they're resistant to what they have to do. And, you know, if they're resistant, they can beat them or drug them or rape them. But I think what really struck me was after they start to give in, that's when they get treated better. So a lot of them develop like a Stockholm syndrome with the pimp, you know, which is what Sarah was telling me as well. And I think that just imagining that could be so destructive for the girls, and at the age of 12 or 13 or 15, you know, I think, and that's a very real situation for a lot of them. So I hope that people who watch the film also realize that, you know, this is only happening a couple of hours away, and labor trafficking is also prevalent over here, and that, you know, individually, although it's a little bit of an elusive problem, like what you said, but you know, there are ways that we can be individually involved in it as well.
Well, tell us how can we help?
Absolutely. I think one of the big ways is to just keep talking about it, educate ourselves about what's happening in trafficking, not put our heads in the sand in terms of not seeing that it's happening in every country. And I think also supporting programs and businesses that do not allow human or sex trafficking or any kind of trafficking is one way.
Watch the film as well and become more aware.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's one of the great things about the film is it really gets a conversation started, and so really important to keep talking about it.
Because
Sorry, I was just going to say, was the film shot entirely in Cambodia? It
was shot entirely in Cambodia. It's the first Singapore-Cambodian co-production, and half the crew was Singaporean, half the crew was Cambodian, and everybody got along great.
Right.
Because it is indeed an international effort, isn't it, to curb this problem. One country can't tackle it alone. So is that where the problem lies, in the coordination between all these countries in tackling this issue that crosses borders?
Absolutely. I think that's a huge issue. I think one of the other things is sort of prosecution and finding, making sure there's penalties for trafficking that have teeth. You know, a lot of times their governments will say, oh, you know, trafficking isn't allowed here. The police will say, we don't have trafficking. But ultimately, when people get caught or whatever, there's no penalty for that as well. So I think it's a big issue. And also the cross-national is completely important. Collaboration, discussion, labor trafficking crosses borders constantly, and people who are victims need to have support on both ends.
A lot of work to be done. Thank you for coming in,
and
thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Just in speaking with Sarah Nadelman, Director of Victim Support Group Transitions, about the growing global issue of human trafficking, and also with us Singaporean actress Yvonne Steven, a star in the movie 350, a new movie about trafficking in Cambodia.
Well, the film is set to premiere in Singapore on October the 24th and in Cambodia on October the 31st, so do look out for it.